It is 94.3 WYBC, the rhythm of the city, back with you on a Sunday evening. I am so thrilled to be here with you. First Sunday of July. So happy first Sunday to you all. I'm so excited to have tonight's guest. I know you're going to be excited too when I tell you who it is. You already heard from her earlier today, but she's back for the 6 o'clock hour to hang out with me. Today we have Dr. Gwendolyn Busch-Williams. And if you were listening earlier today around noon, you know her as Sister Gwen. So,
That's right.
welcome to the show, Sister Gwen.
Hey, Wanda. Thank you for having me. This is such an honor, really, to be on Electric Drum. I'm excited.
And you know what, Gwen? I've been on Facebook and I've seen a couple of your most recent posts, and I said, you have a lot of successes going on. I want to, all of us at YBC, we need to celebrate with you, celebrate you and your
Thank you. Thank you.
accomplishments. So, of course, listeners, let's tell you what I'm talking about. As I just mentioned, is Doctor now. Doctor, that's one of your most recent achievements. Tell us about that.
Yeah. So, you know what? I kind of did it undercover. I obtained a doctorate of social work from Southern Connecticut State University. I am encouraging anyone who is in the social work, psychiatry, psychology profession to go back and get this degree. It is a working degree. It is a 3 year cohort style type of degree. So you're not doing it by yourself. There's a team of people that you can depend on and lean on to get through this program. It is a vigorous program.
Okay.
There were some days it was kind of hard, especially trying to juggle work and family and, the children, grandchildren, all of that. But I was able to make it through. It was 10 women who
Okay.
graduated. Out of the 10 women, 8 of us are African American women.
All
And so
right.
that's right. And so we call ourselves the disruptors, because we are disrupting what people are perceiving as norms, behaviors that should be accepted. And we're like, it's not going to happen. And so we're not going to knock on the door, we're kicking down the door. And we're going to make sure that we are supporting our neighborhood and uplifting our culture and understanding our culture with this degree. So these 8 women, all 10 are fabulous, but these 8 women, it was just especially it was special to me, because of
Nice.
the fact we were able to walk across that stage together.
Well, congratulations to you again.
Thank
And
you. Thank you.
this is just one of the postgraduate degrees that you have. You have another one of Master of Science.
Actually, I have two. So I have been fortunate. Education, I love it. That is my thing. And going back to school. So I actually have my bachelor's in interpersonal communication from University of Connecticut. And then I went to Southern for the rest of my career. So I have a master's of social work from Southern and also a master's of urban studies from Southern
Nice.
as well.
Was social work always the goal for you going back to high school years?
Actually, no, I fell into it. So I wanted to do human resources. That was my thing. But the reality was, I got out of school, couldn't find a job. And so I got into the first job I could, which was with the Department of Social Services on Bassett Street. And
Okay.
when I started working with that population and I saw a need in our community, it sparked the interest. So I decided to go back to school for urban studies to get my master's. I wanted to see how did we come with urban cities versus suburban cities? How did we
Mhm.
create the cities as well? And that, the historical stuff is extremely interesting to me. And then they said, well, in this program, it's a dual master's. If you could go another year and you could have your social work. And I was like, 2 masters? Why not?
Wow.
Let's do this. And I just fell in love with this line of work. It is a passion for me at this point.
Nice. And were you a mother at that time? How old is your child? Your
So
son?
my son Blake, my prince, my up and coming king, just turned 24. And to make you laugh, I was finishing the second degree, which was the social work. Gave birth to him on February 28th at 9:26 p.m. And on that Thursday, I was back in class. And my teacher,
Wow.
my teacher looked at me and she was like, should you be here? And I was like, listen, you all are not going to give any excuses to not give me this degree. I got that little cushy thing to sit on. I'm okay. I said,
Gwen, you weren't even really healed at that
I
time.
wasn't at all. The old folks say you were still open.
Exactly. You said, I gotta go. I gotta get
I
this
go.
degree. I love it. I love it. And your all of your degrees and your primary education was right here in Connecticut because you're from
Yes,
Connecticut.
I am from Connecticut. You know what, Wanda? I couldn't get any money from from the historically black colleges and universities. I got in. I got
Hmm.
into a lot of schools. I got into Hampton, and I had gotten to Virginia State. I had even gotten into the Naval Academy until I found out that I had to swim and I can't swim. So that was um, right. I was looking to sub. Absolutely not. UConn, I got in through this program called Day of Pride, which was the top 100 students in the state of Connecticut. So it was because I received that award, it was automatic entrance, and they gave me money. So my
Nice.
parents were like, "You got to go where the money is," and I
I
do not
understand.
regret the decision. It was
Hmm.
my college years were the best years of my life.
Of
Best
course.
years.
So are mine. So are my college experience was great, but I understand where the money talks. It helps
It
along the
does.
way, especially if you don't have to take out a bunch of loans and all that extra stuff.
No.
It sets you up for your future. Where are you from? Are you from New Haven?
I am from here. I was born at St. Raphael's Hospital. My parents worked really hard. I was blessed to have my mom and my dad. So they worked to send me at private schools. So I went to Sacred Heart across from the old Lee High School
Wow.
for my primary years. And then I went to Academy of Our Lady of Mercy in Milford Laurelton Hall for high school. And then I went straight to UConn. So born and raised church. I go to Bethel AME Church around here, and everything has been in New Haven.
Nice. One thing I can tell about you, you are very, very loyal because I read your bio and it says, I've been a member of Bethel AME my entire life.
Entire life since I was in my mother's stomach. That is our family church. I have been there, and I love my church. I'm not going anywhere. I serve. I'm committed, and the interesting, I'm not committed to the pastor.
Right.
Many churches people will follow because of the person. I am there because I love the denomination of AME, African Methodist Episcopal, and what it stands for and what we do. And I love my church, so I'm not going anywhere. They're going to bury me from Bethel.
I know that's right. I know that's right. And also, if you know, she's Sister Gwen from YBC, but if you didn't know, she also holds the title of Director of Youth and Recreation for the city of New Haven. And you're, like you said, you were from New Haven. So was it always a goal of yours to get to work for the city of New Haven in this particular department?
You know what, Wanda? I needed security. I had a son, and I will tell anyone, when you work for the state or government, it's security. You're going to get that check every
Hmm.
week or every 2 weeks. And so when I left Department of Social Services, I actually went into private industry, and I was a full-time clinician for about a couple of years. And I said, I need to get out of nonprofit. I need
You said that with a smile.
yeah. I was like, because someone out here is understanding what I'm saying right now. Someone is listening, saying, "I know that's right."
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
and so when this opening came up, it was just like it was a godsend. I was like, I love kids, and I was still able to kind of practice what my degree and working with it. The difference is when you're doing clinical therapy, it takes a long time to see the fruition of your work.
Right.
Um, this was kind of immediate gratification. I was able to help the kids, get them out of issues or situations, give them jobs or whatever the case may be, and I was able to see it immediately, and that was extremely gratifying to me. So I love it. I fell into it. I've been there for 13 years. I've worked my way up. So I started off as a program manager, then went to business manager, and now the Lord has blessed me, and I'm director.
That was going to be my question. Did you start at a different position and work your way up? So
Yes, from the bottom. I started from the bottom, and
now
now
I'm
I'm
here.
here.
I know that's right. And that's the best way. Well, not the best way. I guess if you have other
No,
experiences,
it is. It
because
is.
you get to know every single position there. So there's not one job here that I can't say I don't know how to do myself.
Right. There was a different level of respect when I came in. I wasn't considered an outsider because
Hmm.
they knew I was grinding from the very beginning to help create the particular program that was new to the city when I came in 2007. And so there were barriers I didn't have to face. There was no, well, you don't understand because you're not from here. It's kind of like, oh, it's about time, Gwen. And,
Yeah.
so that kind of felt really good that I was received so well, not just by the community, but by the staff themselves.
Yes.
And so I greatly appreciate them for just welcoming me, me and being able to take directions from me as their director now, I was a little worried if I had to be the boss, how are they going to
Well,
act?
you already earned their respect, so I think that plays a large part in it
Yeah,
as
yeah.
well. With the new degree,
Hmm.
what can I well, let me ask, what would you say is your 5-year plan, even though we know plans of ours don't really work out? But if you had to, what would you say?
So this is the first time that I'm actually going to reveal this to anyone because they were asking me, well, what are you going to do next?
Right.
So I have my license, my LMSW, and the one goal that I have not met was getting my LCSW, which is licensed certified social worker with the state. I took the test twice, y'all. First time I didn't pass by 2 points. The second time I didn't pass by 1 point. Devastated. I
Wow.
was just like, I'm not going to do this again. I want to complete this goal. I hate losing. I'm not a bad loser or a poor sport. I hate losing. I know I can do it. So that's what I'm going to be doing next. I'm going to get my license. And then whenever I retire, I want to teach full time academia and do some part time work at private counseling. And, I'm preparing myself for the sunset. I'm ready to
Oh,
retire
that's
in
right.
about 8 years.
Yeah, and obviously the grind just does not stop with you. It keeps
It
going and
can't.
going.
It can't stop.
Yeah,
Who's gonna do the work? Wanda, who's
mhm,
who's gonna do the work out here? We have kids and we need to save our kids. So
absolutely.
I have to keep going, and I have to show, especially our young ladies, there's more to life than twerking.
Come on now. After
Um,
the BET Awards that we just saw, I don't even want to go there.
mm, that thing broke my heart. I couldn't even look at it after a while. And those are the role models though
Yeah,
for our youth. Those are the role models, and I'm like, sis, it doesn't have to be. We have role
absolutely.
models right here. You're a role model. How many young women recognize that they can have their voice on the airways with thousands, hundreds of thousands of people listening
Absolutely.
and make a career of it? And so I still need to save some more folks. I need to save Hingo and some adults too.
Facts, Gwen. I'm gonna leave that one alone and I'm gonna go to the next question. You also work with the youth in the church?
Yes, I was the actually the director of youth. I kind of stopped it for a little while. I was getting burnt out, and I told them, I was like, all right, I'm doing this Monday through Friday, so I'm gonna stop. But I still work with them in regards to our choir.
Okay.
We have our junior choir, which is the babies, and then our youth choir. So that was my goal with working with the kids in the church. And then whenever other support was needed with our young people, Auntie Gwen is always there. And I still support them now, encouraging them to make sure they get applications in so that they could get jobs in the summer, and making sure I'm getting information to them of what's going on in the community.
Speaking of, we're already well, the summer is here now.
Yes.
Are the positions all filled?
Positions I feel, actually the program starts tomorrow. So
Okay.
anyone listening to me, be at work on time. It
No,
will
that's
run.
right.
It's going to run for 5 weeks. It will run from July 3rd and it will end on August 4th. The kids work 25 hours a week. They work the state of Connecticut minimum wage, which is $15 an hour. So they're getting good checks. If they work the
Yeah.
full summer, they can gross like almost $2,000 for these
Nice.
weeks.
And what's the youngest age? What's the starting age?
The starting age is 14, and that
Okay.
and that is actually federal law. So
Mhm.
parents, yes, I understand they're 13. They think they're grown, but by federal law, I cannot hire them. They have to be a minimum age of 14 in order to be in gainful employment.
Nice. You also have the I always say this, the first time I heard the two of you together, I said you need a talk show because you have the greatest relationship and chemistry with AJ,
Dude,
another one of
I
our
can't
sweet
stand
sounds of
him.
praise.
I can't stand him. I'm
Churching with
sorry.
AJ. And the two of you started a community choir.
Correct. Correct.
It's called Kergyma, correct?
Correct.
Who decided to do this? What made you want to launch this community choir?
So AJ and I have been friends since we were at University of Connecticut. We are also in the sister and brother fraternity. He is a member of Phi Beta Sigma. I'm a member of Zeta Phi Beta. He pledged me. That's why I don't like him. Love him, don't like him. Um, And we sang in Voices of Freedom at University of Connecticut. When we both graduated, we came home and we were singing at a community choir in Hartford, Celebration Community Choir, under our father in the music ministry, Bishop Marshall Muntz. So then Pastor Muntz decided I'm a full-time pastor and didn't want to do the choir anymore. So
Mhm.
what we wound up doing, we were like, there needs to be something in New Haven. We don't want to do it in Hartford. Let's do it in New Haven. And we sat down and we came up with, we're going to do our community choir. But AJ actually came up with the name. A friend of
Okay.
his was studying for her license in the ministry. And one of the words was Kergyma, which is a Greek word. And it means to proclaim, or the proclamation of the good news with the intent to elicit souls to the redemptive work.
Hmm.
Um, he is into linguistics. And so he went to a friend because it's really Kerygma, and he said, could we change it around to make it unique without destroying the initial integrity of the definition? And that's how we came up with Kergyma. So Kergyma instead of Kerygma, which is the Greek word for it. So we have been friends, and it's been over 20 years. We started in 2001, and we are still going strong.
Wow. And look at y'all being all creative and whatnot. You broke that down, broke down the meaning and
That's him.
everything.
That is him. He is into all of that stuff. I am the okay. Sounds good to me.
So were you singing at Bethel when you were growing up in the church as well?
Absolutely. Been singing since I was 4 years old, and I could get into the junior choir. I cried when I was 3 because Miss Hall wouldn't let me in the choir. And God rest her soul. I hope she sees me now because I am singing, Miss Hall, singing. So,
And also directing too. You do choir, you direct
yes.
the choir.
I direct
Okay.
my choirs as well. I have been with Voices of Mercy. Yes, kind of changed its name a couple of times, but my church choir, I have been directing since probably about 2000, no, about 1998, I think. I've been.
Wow. What's the
Mhm.
greatest joy that you would say has come from being a part of this choir and starting it?
The souls that come to Jesus, when at the end, when they come to us, and if someone is crying and they just say, that message was just for me. We even had a young woman that reached out to us. She was driving along in her car, and she said the promise came on, and she had to pull over, and she broke down, and the Lord was really dealing with her because she said she had already made plans that she was going to take her life.
Mm.
And when that song came on, I'm sorry, I'm getting full. That's
Yeah.
this story. And I think I cried uh, immensely because that is our purpose. Uh,
Absolutely.
that is our purpose. So that is the greatest joy, knowing that souls have been touched, that we have been able to change a life just from bringing the good news through song. Everyone may not sit for a sermon, but
Right.
when you hear that song on the radio, you unconsciously will start singing and humming it, and it seems like songs come on just at the right time to
Right.
minister
Especially
to your soul.
if it's your testimony too, you know what he's brought you
Yeah,
through.
yeah,
So and
absolutely.
the music, it's you write original music, correct?
Yes, we do get original music. As a matter of fact, we are working now on our next album, and so we are accepting submissions. There are some great writers here in New Haven that we have worked with, and we have been blessed that those from the different states and even outside of this country have submitted songs to us. So we are always looking for only original material. However, we will sing one song from a historic choir. This past year, we did Minds Made Up and from the Tommies, and that is because we stand on the shoulders of legends
Yeah.
who have allowed us to be able to grace the stages that we have been on, and for people to receive gospel music. Just like some of the rap music, gospel music wasn't accepted. They were like, "What is it? No, we're not singing this in the church. This is blasphemous. This is you're rocking and you're swaying." It's like, no, that's not what we're doing. This is chants, anthems, chorals. That's all we're doing. And
Mhm.
so someone took the time to break ground for us. And so we always will sing one song in tribute to a choir that has, done the work.
And I like the fact that you are a choir because for a point in time you really didn't see very many choirs anymore.
Mm-mm. Choir lives matter. And
Absolutely.
so that's our
Hashtag.
seriously hashtag. We say that is our thing, Wanda. I know they'll laugh at us when they were talking. And yes, we did get it from Black Lives Matter, but we were like Choir Lives Matter. And
Absolutely.
yeah, when COVID hit, everyone was going to groups and praise teams, and that's fine. I have nothing wrong with it. But the choir was the one that set the atmosphere before the preacher got up to preach. The
Mm-hmm.
choir was the one that charged it, may have changed it if something wasn't going right. The minister of music should have been able to read the room and know how to sing that right song. So even if we practice that fast song, that's not what the spirit was saying. We need to do something that is slow and minister. And so it was the choir who set that stage. And so their role is still extremely important in a church.
Yeah.
You can't take the choir away. You just can't. And so we're here to stay. We weren't popular, but you have to sing in season and out of season.
Absolutely. How do you go about selecting the choir members? Is it basically just whomever may be interested just come see you?
So for the church, yes, if you want to sing, the church is open for Kergyma. We do have an audition process.
Mhm.
I know everyone may not agree with that, but you know what, Wanda? Sometimes everyone just needs a little push of what their ministry is, and
Come
sometimes,
on, Gwen.
sometimes singing. I'm like, baby, I think you need to go back to the Lord. I don't think the Lord told you
To
that it
be
was
here.
sing. I think the Lord told you that you need to be on the Ursher board.
And you don't get to the Stellar Awards by just accepting just anybody. So I understand,
Yeah,
Gwen.
yeah,
You
yeah.
you could tell how she cut up on Sunday morning. She is a
Somebody
mess.
mad right now, but I want to sing. I know I can sing, and usually I end it with "Bless your heart,
Amen.
bless your heart, baby." Mm. Can I talk to you for a second over here?
What do you sing? Are you alto, soprano? What do you sing?
I am a soprano, but I will fill in where necessary. If we go to a gig and we're short of alto, I'm singing alto. If we short of tenor, I will sing tenor. But by by nature, soprano.
Soprano. And how was the experience being at the Stellar Awards? Tell us what that experience was like for you.
So actually, we have been to the Stellar Awards as radio announcers. We have gone as radio
Oh.
announcers. So when we were nominated, the year we were nominated, it is a ballot process,
Mhm.
and so we made the second to final ballot, which is why we're Stellar Award mentioned. And
Okay.
for the song "I Do Don't You," it was extremely exciting. Even to get that far, and I know when we release this next album, we are going to make the final ballot, and so we were able to get our name out there nationwide, and people actually knew who we were. And so it was a great experience. It was really great experience. And one of our publicists kept saying, "Oh, you need to put in there that your Stella Award mentioned." And then I said, "Oh, okay, all right,
Absolutely. And I love that song too. I do. I'm not going to do it cuz
but
people
you
tell
did
me, oh,
it. But you did.
I did that part.
I
That's
do.
all I'm going to
Don't
do.
you sang it perfect. Perfect
My
tenor.
well, you said you were there as radio announcers, and what I didn't know until I read your bio is that you said you have over 25 years in radio.
I started at WYBC. I started when they had interns and we were on Temple Street.
Yeah.
No, Elm Street. Excuse me. We
Mhm.
were on Elm Street at that time. What? Elm and Temple over
Yep.
there inside the Yale building. And so I had the graveyard shift, Wanda. I came on from 4 a.m. to 6 a.m. And I was,
Wow.
yeah, my favorite at the time was gospel jazz. And so when I left there, I went to another radio station, and I was there for a while until I came back to WYBC. But this is the best job. I can say that until recently I was never paid for. I did it because it was just a love and a passion to be able to be on the airwaves. And it also was kind of cool when you're going somewhere. I could be in the store, and if I'm laughing or talking, I've actually had people like, "Excuse me,
I know that
your
laugh.
voice is very familiar. You don't happen to be on the radio, do you?" So that's kind of cool, to
Has
hear
has it always been gospel?
all only and always gospel.
Nice.
Yep,
And was that a personal choice of yours?
absolutely. It was a choice. Do I regret it? No. Have I missed out on opportunities? Probably. I think in my prime, in my 20s, when it was like, "Oh, don't you want to do backup singing for this R&B artist, because that's where they come. They come to
Mhm.
the church folks to take our musicians and our
That's where the voices
kids
are.
in the choir, and
Mhm.
they take them on the road. And so I was afforded one time an opportunity when I was in my 20s, and I didn't do it because I was standing on I just only want to sing gospel, and that the Lord will elevate me in gospel, and I really don't regret that decision.
Nice. If someone wanted to follow in your footsteps, follow your journey for radio and gospel, what would you say to them? What advice would you have for them?
Oof, that is, I don't know if they want to go through to get to the left to get to where what you see today, part of the finished product. There's like the diamond in the rough, and there's a lot of pressure you put on the diamond to make it shine. And so there was a lot of pressure. There's a lot of trials and tribulations. There's a lot of toils. So you have to be convinced and convicted and stand on your faith,
Mm,
stand up knowing what's right, being willing to stand out there by yourself. And you have to put in the work. Nothing that you want in life, anything that I have done has not been easy.
yeah.
Late nights, there were lots of tears. There were times when I was just giving up, forget it, I don't want to do it anymore. Some other stuff and colorful language, so if you want to follow in my footsteps, I need to make sure that you are determined and you really know that this is what you want to do. Set your goals, and then find out what is the path to reach my goal. What benchmarks do I need to make along the way to get to the main goal?
Hmm.
I started my doctorate actually in 2000. I wanted to get a doctorate of education. I got into that program and it wasn't right for me, and I had to quit. I quit. I didn't have to. It was my choice. I
Right.
was devastated because I felt as if I had failed my parents and I had failed myself. And, talking to my dad, who was in education and he was a vice principal, he was just like, it has to be a program that's for you. You
Hmm.
did not do anything wrong. And he was like, when the time is right, you'll know. And tapping into that spirit of discernment, it took another 20 something years, but now the time is right. Um,
Absolutely. Timing is everything, and it's his time and not ours. So
exactly,
I
exactly.
understand. I understand. We didn't touch too much on growing up here in New Haven, especially being in church, raised in church, and your faith is what leads you. What was that like for you here in New Haven growing up here?
So in New Haven, my parents, they were fortunate after they left New Haven, we bought a house in West Haven. So, but being around here, my faith, you know what? I was lucky because I went to Catholic schools, so
Hmm.
faith was okay.
Okay.
Um, and on the weekend, my friends were at church, so faith was okay. And it wasn't until I was my teenage years when I actually myself went up to the altar and gave my life over, and that's when church became real. Um, and it was when I got into my 20s that church became really real. That I
Yeah.
really understood some of the things that we're talking about. And then when my father was diagnosed with Alzheimer's in 2000, that's when church was for real, for real.
You were on your knees then.
What? Girl,
Mhm.
listen, my knees still have marks on them.
I
As much
understand.
as I tarried and cried and tarried and cried. And I will tell those of faith to believe it's okay and it happens. Sometimes you get mad at God, but we're children, and that's what happened with children. And He knows that. And
Mhm.
so, there are going to be times when your faith is tested and you're mad and you're angry, but then you get through it and then you go back and you're like, I'm sorry, God, I was just playing. Don't smite me.
My bad. My bad.
Right.
That's how I talk to him. My bad.
I was like, I'm just playing, God, just playing.
I was in a moment. I'm serious. That's how I am, Gwen. I said this about with you and AJ being teamed up, but I love how natural you guys are not. Well, speaking of you, you're not preachy on on the radio. What made you make that decision? And then the next question is, was ministry ever in your plans to go to be a pastor, to
Yeah,
study? Like
no,
that?
no. You need good apostles. You need some good disciples. Everyone. All right, so why you gonna have me start again, baby? I don't know if the Lord called everybody like, I need you to preach.
Mm-hmm.
I think some of y'all need to go back to the closet, clean them out, and listen again to make sure He told you that's what He really wants you to do. You got to have some good followers. You have to
Yeah.
have some good disciples. And so it's as a layperson, I still need to understand and know the word because I need to be able, if my sister or my brother is in a moment of despair, I still need to be able to go in and lay hands and pray with them and for them and knowing how to stand in the gap and giving words of encouragement and the wisdom to know when to give words of encouragement or when just to give my shoulder.
When to listen.
That's why I'm not preachy. Who am I to convict anybody? I am a mess. I am a complete, and this is the only time I will admit it and let my husband hear this. I am a complete mess. I am the, if it wasn't for,
He's going to listen to it though, Gwen.
if it wasn't for grace and mercy
Come on with it.
to allow me, God to give me another chance and another chance and another chance. And so I can bring words of encouragement, but all I'm doing is bringing the words. It is, and if it impacts you, if it
Mhm.
touches you somehow, then I've served my purpose. But it is not for me to beat on you. I am not there to indoctrinate anyone. I want anyone who wants to listen to gospel music for whatever reason. So if you're Jewish, listen. If you're
Mhm.
Catholic, listen. Pentecostal, Apostolic, AME, Baptist, I don't care what you are. If we believe in a higher power, you can listen to our show and still feel comfortable.
Absolutely.
I want everyone to be able to listen. And so that's why it was an intentional choice not to do that.
My final question to you is I'm going to let you just tell the story. You are a member of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated,
Yes,
as
I
you previously mentioned. And
am.
tell me about that choice you made because this was undergrad at UConn, you
Yes.
said.
University of Connecticut, spring '89. I knew Theta chapter brought me into the organization. So I always knew that I wanted to be part of the Divine Nine because my father was a member of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. And so my father kept pushing for me to pledge AKA because, I'm an alpha. I want my daughters to be AKA. I
Okay.
will tell anyone, it depends on the environment that you're in
Hmm.
what you're drawn to. So the women that I was hanging with at UConn that we were very similar in thoughts and behaviors, they were Zetas. They were cool. They were people that our ideologies were the same. It's
Right.
nothing against the other organizations, but that's where my fit was. That's where my niche was.
Hmm.
And so I became a member. I've been a financial member since 1989. I just celebrated, I think it was 34 years this past May, in being in this organization that I love so greatly. And then to make matters worse, to add salt to the wound, after I pledged in 1989, I got my sister to pledge in 1990. So my father had no AKs.
He didn't get what he wanted at all.
He didn't get what he wanted at all, and so some of my greatest friends, my dearest friends, are in the other organizations. Anyone who's listening, is not about the colors. We
Hmm.
still all stand for the same thing, and that is uplifting women of color. We do allow everyone else to come in, but its premise was uplifting women of color, and specifically with Zeta and Phi Beta Sigma, the only constitutionally linked organization. It was about brotherhood and sisterhood, and
That
that was something that was really important to me, as I have no brothers. It's just me and my eldest sister, and so it was just perfect for me. A decision I will never ever ever regret.
I love it. And you're speaking about uplifting women of color. The 8 that you were speaking about in the beginning of the conversation, are you guys going to be starting anything, launching anything, moving forward? Do you see that in the plans?
Actually, you know what? We were talking about doing an article together. So another one of my goals is to publish. I want
Okay.
to publish in a magazine, a social work or a psychiatric magazine. And so we have been in discussion about, coming up with a topic and actually doing research and publishing together. These women in their own right are phenomenal. And, again, we want to continue to work. We just don't want to get the degree and stop. We want to continue and do something. Um, Anyone who's listening, it's never over. You
Hmm.
always have to set a goal. Once you reach that milestone, you have to set the next milestone. You have to keep going. Do not get complacent.
Yeah.
Do not get complacent. When I close my eyes and I get my reward, I want my obituary to be so long as 3 pages of all the stuff I did.
But all of that would matter is that you were a child of God and you were led.
At the end of the day, absolutely. And it's almost the 60-day mark is almost over because for 60 days, I told everyone on the radio that they had to call me Dr. Gwen or Doc G. It's almost over, but I might extend it for
I
another
was about to say, I
60
think we should continue with that.
days.
I said, Doctor Sister Gwen. That's what I'm gonna call you, Doctor Sister Gwen.
I love it. I love it.
And if you didn't know, this is Gwendolyn Busch-Williams. She is Sister Gwen, Sweet Sounds of Praise.
That's right.
Just had a wonderful conversation with her, and you are a part of other organizations as well. Did you want to shout them out?
So I am part, actually, that's where I am now. I am talking to you from Memphis, Tennessee. I am a member of Eureka Chapter Number 2, Order of the Eastern Star PHA, right at 106 Gulf Street. And I am also a past commandress of Arabic Court Number 95, Daughters, the auxiliary to the ancient Egyptian Arabic Order of the Nobles of the Mystic Shrine. And so we are, I am, oh, and you know what, Juan, I'm glad you said that because a lot of people, if you go to church, you cannot be in a Masonic order.
Mm-hmm.
Please understand that everything in the Masonic order is based on church.
Okay.
Everything is based on church. So we are, it's no conflict.
Period. I understand. I love it. I love it. And community seems to be a big part of who you are as well. At what point did you start working in the community service, being community oriented?
From church, that was one thing they required us to always do. We had to work
Mm-hmm.
in the community. So from I can remember going to nursing homes at Christmas time and going there to sing carols, that kind of stuff, and we would give items away during that time, and collecting clothes, collecting bottles, and every constant community service. So it was just in, deeply ingrained in me from my household, um, because I'm one paycheck away. Um, that could have been me,
Absolutely.
but again, God found it fit. So I'm not judging. I don't know what it took or what happened to get there, and so we have to help our brothers and sisters. We have to feel obligated. It bothers me. God has blessed me with so much, and the way I received is because my hands are open. So I'm receiving, but I'm giving at the same time.
Come on. Best place to stop right there, unless you have anything else to say. Will you have any final words?
I do. Wanda is the best thing since sliced bread.
Thank
You
you.
are
Gwen.
so wonderful, and you are a role model for so many young people, male and female. Wanda, please keep what you're doing the way that you're doing it. Do not change a thing because you are such a wonderful, you're a breath of fresh air. I love you immensely, and I pray that God continues to pour upon you and your husband
Come on, no,
and
stop.
your
Don't make me
family.
cry. You about to
I'm not
make me
trying to
cry.
make you cry. I'm not trying to make you cry. It has been a goal in my life that I lost someone this past um, March. Suddenly, I saw her on a Tuesday, and by Saturday, she was gone.
Yeah.
We couldn't. That's when I was mad. I was mad. I was like, God, she's one of the good ones. And I've seen so many people who have raised hell and chaos, and they're
Mm-hmm.
still here.
Yeah.
And when she left, I had to think, and I tried to remember, did I tell her how much I loved her? Did I tell her what a great mom and woman that she was? Did I tell her that she was a great role model? And so that doesn't ever happen to me again, I make sure when I leave from a group of women or people I know, I tell them how I feel about them. So if
Right.
something happened to me today, Wanda, you will never have a doubt in your mind that I love you.
I appreciate you, Gwen. I thank you for that. And I love you back. I respect you immensely. You have no idea. That's why I wanted to talk to you, Dr. Sister Gwen.
There
Thank
you
you
go.
so much. Thank you. And listeners, thank you for tuning in to this episode. The video will be posted on Facebook and on my YouTube channel. Make sure you go listen and check that out. And make sure you lock in every Sunday with Sister Gwen. She's on
That's
from
right.
9 to 3.
Got G in the house. Don't play with me. And you have better been listening to me today. We love I'm gonna catch y'all one by one in the street. No, sir.
I love it. I love it. It's WYBC. You know you have more R&B on the way. I hope that you enjoy the rest of your Sunday. It is 4th of July weekend. So whatever you do, be safe, be well, enjoy the fireworks, whatever you try to do. And I will meet you back on Wednesday because we are off tomorrow and Tuesday.
Ow.
Absolutely.
Mm.
You be well, family. Be blessed. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. I'm Wanda Coppage. It's WYBC.
Peace, y'all.